This one is going to be a more presentation style from Ruben. But of course, he will be happy to take questions along the way, I am sure. And I know Will's on here. We'll send me an email with some questions that we can also insert as well. We've had somebody obviously already come in and troll around, so I may be able to open the chat up a little bit later, but for now it's closed down, so we don't have anybody else coming and doing that stuff. But if you do have a question, submit it in the question and answer, and hopefully we'll be able to see it and we'll get it in there. So without further ado, Ruben.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So hi again to everybody. Just the presentation style is because for me it's easier not to forget the things, and that's why I prefer to organize like a presentation. For me it's easier to speak about the things I would like to speak, and of course you will make my life a lot more enjoyable, and I think we can exchange a lot of more things while you are asking, and no doubts to ask every second question. So I have no problems. I will be very happy to answer even Christopher, who is joining us. Very, very nice. So I will start with the by sharing my screen. I hope that everybody sees. Is it okay, John?
Yeah, you can flip it into presentation. It should come up. Yep.
Good.
There it is.
So the topic of today is maximizing performance. For the ones who don't know me, most probably nobody knows me. I'm one of the best secrets of Argentinian volleyball because nobody knows me. So I think it's interesting to tell a little bit what I was doing since 1993. I started to coach, and then from 2002 I'm coaching outside Argentina. And for one reason or each other, I was always working with some of the mid-class teams in every league I was taking part. The good thing of this is that from every team I was coaching, normally I started to coach those teams in middle class, and always I push the teams to the top of the stands. And this is a kind of a thing which makes me very proud. So because, as you probably realize, the topic we are talking about is something that always I was coaching teams, so I'm coaching teams which are not gifted with the best budgets, and then I need to imagine and I need to organize somehow plans to detect people and put the people to go to work all together in order to get the best results possible. Yeah. So for me, as every kind of work, I think it's very, very important to organize a kind of diagnosis, to organize the kickoff of your team, or in any kind of organization you are working. I think this is, for me as a coach, a very important point. I try always to make a very detailed analysis of the competition I'm taking part. That's why with the years I'm getting to know a lot of different leagues in any different levels. I would say that I was blessed to be coaching in mid-higher class leagues, and this makes us, or requires from the coaches, to be very, very detailed on the analysis, because once you have a clear understanding of the competition, a clear understanding of your budget, and then agreeing with the with the management which kind of targets mainly the club wants, because as a coaches, as a players, always we want to win as many games as possible, as many championships as possible, but it's not always possible. So then it is important to analyze these, first of all, these three factors: the competition, the budget, and I think at last, I would say, according the competition and the budget, we should be realistic on setting kind of targets with the club management. And with this, we can detect the strengths and the weaknesses of our program, let's say, or our team. And then it demands on us. And I said on us because normally the management of the clubs in 90% of the occasions are not fully professional managements. In many occasions, the management are people who love the game, who are giving a lot of the free time they have, and in some cases they can hire professional people to join the club. But mainly, I think the coaches have a big role on bringing people to the ground, to let them understand which kind of role we can play in the league, and to bring them to the reality. And I think once everybody knows the reality we are taking part, I think it's a lot easier to work, because I would say everybody is on the same page. And then, of course, we will have strengths and weaknesses in the program. We should empower all the strengths, and we should work very hard to make better or to better the weaknesses, or in the worst case, to disguise the weaknesses into the best scenario possible. Yeah. Up to now, please let me know if there is somebody who wants to interact or to make questions, and so I would be happy to hear. Okay. I think after being in several countries, I was coaching in Spain, in Denmark, in Finland, in Germany, in Hungary right now. I was coaching, of course, almost 10 years in Argentina, and having the possibility to compete also with my teams in also several countries. And after being coaching around 25 different nationality players, I would say that we should develop a kind of lateral thinking, a second way of thinking, because our sport, as a sport, it's a matter of bringing solutions. It's a point of problem solving all the time, and there is not only one straight way to get to the results to make the players improve. I think that the lateral thinking will help us a lot on developing solutions, on developing creativity, and different kind of situations we will see along the way. Yeah, because among the different personalities, the different nationalities, I think we have to be very creative on how to develop the different things the team may need in order to have success. Yeah. Of course, about the lateral thinking or the problem solving, we can take a lot of time. There are a lot of good books. There are several videos you can see nowadays in YouTube, but I think there are a lot of material that you can read, you can study, and especially right now that we have a lot of time, it's very important that we as professionals dedicate ourselves on looking for solutions. Yeah, for me right now, it is a kind of how to say, I think I'm very committed myself on thinking what can I be or how can I improve after the coronavirus, in which topics or where I can be better the day after this problem finishes in the world, and how can we be better coaches or better family or better wherever we want to think in order to make our work more enjoyable and for our players more enjoyable, and in order that we can help them to develop more. Yeah, so I think this is also very important at the moment we organize and after we have the diagnosis of the team. After all, I think for me, I say it's a kind of art, building a team. I think in all these years, I think that I was very happy every time after every season when I need to look for many new players in different teams, because most of the cases, I would say almost 85-90% of the cases, when I needed to replace a player, was because players were getting the possibility to go to better competitions, which means better salaries, better environments for development of them. And I think this, as a coach, makes me only happy because, as the same as I said, we need to bring our management to the ground. We need to think also the same, because as coaches, the main reason we are coaching is because we are helping our players, and in my eyes, we would never forget that the players are the most important gift we have, or the most important resource we have to develop, and we really need to take care. And I'm telling this after being making a lot of mistakes in all my years as a coach, and I think this is very important. So I think when I need to develop a new team, or when I need to recruit new players, as I said, a big part of my strength as a coach is having, I would say, a good capability of scouting and recruiting players, and not the players who are the top players on each league, because these are the easy guys to recruit or the easy guys to scout when you have money or when you have very good circumstances, which normally I relate, most of the cases the circumstances are related with the money, because in professional leagues, money talks. So, and then I think this is nowadays, I would say, an interesting point, how we scout players in order to put the team together. I think I divided this kind of wheel, the talent identification. Why? Oh, sorry. I go back. John, I'm okay?
Yeah, you're okay.
Okay. Why I think it's important, the talent identification, is because we must be very open and critically thinking why or why not we cannot think on taking a player from Congo, a player from Uzbekistan, or a player from Albania, which are normally or sometimes not very well-known volleyball countries. Yeah, and for me, when we see the whole graphic, I think this is something which is very clear. Why we have to chase particular talent, how we can go for this. I think it's again about the creativity, about looking for innovations, because there is a lot of talent all over the world. So, and especially when we have the possibility in Europe that many of the leagues can have international players, I would say that it is sometimes not a difficult solution and sometimes an easy solution to detect players from all over the world. Yeah, and in these cases, I think it's important to organize the talent identification by videos. I think we can ask a lot of people who send us videos, who send us information about the players, and I think the biggest how is how much also you are active on this topic, and there is no when. Normally with my former assistant coach in Germany, Santiago, who was working with me 6 years, we had a period of the year that we were going, particularly in many different leagues all over the world, start looking for players. But there is not a specific point when we can detect a person or a potential good prospect. I think we have to be also open, and this is a process of the whole year around it. And I think this is a process that coaches must be in alert, and sometimes we need to contact players and keep this contact warm during the whole season until we have the possibility to invite them for a tryout, to invite them for some practice weeks, or for some days that you can see the player. So related to the talent identification, I think we have to be realistic also on the parameters of the international volleyball level. There are players who are really playing very, very, very good, but sometimes they don't have the physical skills, particularly the physical skills, which requires the gift the players are playing in the top leagues. And I mean how tall they are, how jump, or how much they jump, how strong they are. And I think often we say that a tall guy, strong guy, who jumps good, most probably he can learn, while a smaller guy, he cannot get taller and perhaps he cannot get stronger. And even if he's stronger, perhaps he cannot play against the big guys. So these are two important things which give us the third point, which is the perspective and the future, because this, when you see talent who have big possibilities, then for sure the motivation of them will be very high. And as we will speak later, I think the motivation is one of the biggest points, or if it's not the main point of all. And also I think it is the motor or the engine which moves us as a coaches to organize the whole thing. Yeah. And then one last point, I took the last, but it's not a list. I think it's very important. Try to get kind of inputs of the personalities, especially when you are having players from different, really different contexts, social context, educational context. And I think these are some little topics that we have to take care as well. Sometimes it's not so easy to get references of players who are coming from strangest places in the world, or sometimes when you ask references about players, I've been asking sometimes references in particular countries where all the coaches are always telling you, even if you ask, what can you tell me not so good about Pepe, they will always tell you only the strengths, and even if you ask for the weaknesses, are very difficult to get some weaknesses. So then I think it's important to establish kind of peer-to-peer connection, try to call the players. Now with video meetings or video calls, I think sometimes it's easier. You can somehow guess, even though you can make mistakes as well. Of course, we are not an NBA organization, but when you have limited resources, I think these kind of points I'm presenting you are very important and not about money solutions. I think this is once again a matter of creativity, patience, hard working, commitment that you have to use your time, particularly your time, the time of your staff, when you have a staff. And if you don't have a staff, it's not excuse, because in many cases, I didn't have a big staff, but always in every club, you have the possibility to count with people who help, people who has understanding of the game, and people who can help you to detect good players, regardless the kind of level you are. Always you see people with a really good sense of reality who can really help you to detect good people. Yeah. So I think this is also important at the moment of trying to select players to put into an organization. John, some questions,
we got one from Oscar, but I think we can bring it in later. You can continue.
Okay. Just to give me a break, you know. I think also when the resources are limited, I think this is also important, which kind of strategies you can set up during the times you are going to coach the team, or during the times you are working with an organization. Once again, besides, it can be that I'm over optimistic. Most of the cases I've been working with, all the clubs I've been working, except one I think is not longer existing anymore, with the other clubs, absolutely all the clubs, I still have very tight connections. And with many of my former presidents or former sports directors, I keep contact, and we keep exchanging information about players, coaches, input in general about volleyball. And I think it's a kind, I don't know if it's a legacy you can bring, but as a professional, I'm always concerned what happens the day after I finish a job in any club. Yeah. So then I see, in many cases, I'm very happy with when the clubs keep having some success. Or nowadays, I'm very sad with the reality of the formula, because I've been giving almost 10 years of my life. And in just few months, they did an absolutely disaster. But it's not my fault anymore. and unfortunately I cannot affect this. But sincerely, I was affected many times seeing them lose games, and of course it's not fun after you have been so many years. So I think it's important also on setting the strategies, because I think most of the success of any club is coming out of the strategies. You see the big organizations, I always try to replicate as much as we can the American professional sports, because with John sometimes we speak about these kind of things. The American professional sports are really well organized, and they really plan in front. And I think it is, for me as a coach, always planning, because perhaps I was coaching many years also junior teams, planning a kind of mid to long-term strategies, and always having a plan that what happened when this player is gone, who are the players who will be the replacements, and in other words, makes you work with the whole team the whole year, and you are forced in a good way to develop the skills of all the players. You cannot really focus only on the starting 6 team, because I think at any level, if you have a really top level, you have to develop the whole team, because you are going to play for the big championships. And when you are having limited players, when in the case of the bench players, let's say, when they develop, most probably this would be the key of the success of the starting 6 team, because they will make the whole program better. So I think this is important, how to see the short, mid, and long-term strategies. And I think also it is important talking about organizational things, how the club can organize the strategies about players' contract, coaching, or the staff contracts, or even though how can we help, or how can we suggest also the management to organize. I know it's not our main goal, or it's not our main duty, but often we can even help on the set up the strategies about sponsoring as well. And I know it's not my main field, it's not my main business, but as long as we have better sponsors, we will have better budget to hire players. And at the end, we need to understand that beside the management, we are somehow employees of the sponsors. And when the sponsors are happy how the team develops, most probably they will be eager to give more and better resources to bring the team a boost to have more success when they think you are having some kind of success. Okay? Muy bien. When we are having limited resources, and what I would tell now, it is something I'm committed myself since 1993, when I started to coach mini volleyball in Santa Fe in Argentina. We really make kind of the team structure, stressing and highlighting that the most important thing we have is the team. Without the team, when we don't have the team, yeah, we cannot have absolutely anything else. So having the team and having not really a lot of economical resources, I think there are several topics where we can excel to give the players the best possibilities to develop. I think when we have the possibility of a good management or a management that listens to us, I think it is important that to strengthen the connection between the management and the team, because as long as the connection between the management and the team will be a better situation for everybody. When the management is well connected with the team, I think they will be eager to help the staff, the coaching staff, to have the best possibilities to work with the team. And once again, I think there are conditions to develop a team nowadays which are a pity when we don't have the possibility to count with them to work. I think nowadays at any city there are people well prepared to be conditional coaches of the teams. I think sports overall has developed very large and very good all over the world. And it's not a matter of money only. It is a matter of also creativity, imagination. How can you engage a conditional coach to work beside you? At any city where it's a good volleyball team, for sure will be juniors, for sure will be people enthusiastic to help the team, even though if at the beginning they are not, let's say, professional coaches. Of course, when you have professional coaches into the staff to be assistant coaches and scoutmans and everything, I think this is the best scenario. But when you don't have it, I think you can create and you can, let's say, in a good way, you can educate people to help you to work with the team, because any team anywhere have people enthusiastic who are around and close to the team. The same is with the medical staff. When you have the possibility to visit a team in Russia, Italy, Poland, these teams, most of the teams in Superliga in Russia or the Plus Liga in Poland, they have a really well-rounded medical staff with physiotherapists, with all sometimes osteopath, with sometimes a doctor who is attending not maybe all the trainings, but they are coming often to the club, 2, 3 physiotherapists. But without having such a possibility, I think we can organize that there's a good sports doctor in any city who can commit to be the doctor of the team, can be always a good rehab center we can make agreements to organize the rehabilitation of the club or of the players. I think it is very important how we when we go back to the diagnosis, organizing all these kind of checkups for the medical staff, the dentist, ophthalmologist, because through the years I can tell stories. I found a girl with 14 years old who was not able to receive the ball. She was very gifted, and after a couple of weeks I asked her, "Caro, why you don't go to the eye doctor?" And that was the problem. She got lenses, and after all she was playing until 25 years old and playing in a good level. And sometimes these little things, or how important it is to make a good dentist examination before the season, because it can prevent a lot of injuries, especially muscle injuries, and sometimes it's just about the caries. And these are things that when we have organized this, it's just matter of ticking the things you have to do every time or every now and then when you organize the team structure of the team or the whole organization. And one fourth, let's say, leg on this table, I would say, is the connection between the team and the supporters. In Argentina, of course, we don't have the best experience connecting, especially football and the supporters. But in any other sports, I think supporters can also really support the team, not only on the game days, but often there are people from the supporting, the fans, who are eager to come to fix a light bulb 2 a.m. in the night if a player had a problem, or sometimes people who can help players not to feel alone, to give this kind of family feeling, because when we have people from many different countries in the world, I think players feel covered, feel supported, really appreciate, and they can also boost, or it can be also a boost for the performance. I often heard, oh, this player is homesick, this player was not seeing the time to go home, or these kind of things. And for sure, we may have got these problems as well, but often when you have these supporters who can really help on these particular topics, I think I would say it's a very interesting point where clubs can get free help of many warm people who will make the year an unforgettable year of the players in this season. And I think this is also a good example. I have counted along the way many families who I think they are still in contact with some kind of a step-sons they got during the several seasons in the different countries I've been coaching. Muy bien, John. Give me a break.
Muy bien. Nobody wants to give you a break, Ruben. They love what you're doing, so they want you to keep talking.
Yeah, but I think that John, you don't have any question?
No?
No.
Not yet.
People are still committed, or they are sleeping and...
They're still online, so maybe they're sleeping, but they haven't logged out yet.
Okay. No, hopefully we can keep everybody in. I would be very happy to keep everybody in. I think that in the daily basis of the organizational things, on the team development, I have this kind of arrow that along the years, I would say, always with all the teams I have, I always tell somehow the same few stories, or in many cases I tell same examples. How important is that every player improves little things during the season. And when a player improves at least one thing, it makes the team improve 12 things. And out of the improvement of 12 things means the improvement of the whole individual and the whole group is so high that most probably a player who was playing a value of 5, at the end of the season, it will be on the value of 7. I think any kind of team development has to start from the individual development. I think any kind of individual development is on the hands of, first of all, your self-knowledge. Who you are, how good you are, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses. And from this point, I think it is very important. Normally, I organize the season having individual meetings with the players at the beginning, individual meetings with the players in the middle of the season, and individual meetings with the players at the end of the season, where we always ask, first of all, we try to make a ground zero starting point, and we, or personally, I like to ask the players which are the things they would like to improve. Because I learned from Daniel Castellani once in a long talk we had, if a player is interested to improve something, he will work night and day for this improvement. And he would really never care the other things you would like him to improve, because he will also be absolutely motivated on the things you propose or he proposed you to be helped. And for sure, in this kind of self-knowledge, you can really establish a basis to start any kind of development. For me, this is very, very important. Once we know who we are, where we are, we have to start changing the behavior. We have to start trying to change, to improve the individual. And once this player is trying on this change, for sure will be a performance improvement, and as a result would be a transformation. Yeah? And I always wonder why most of the cases the players who are working with us develop. And as I wonder, on the other hand, I always confirm myself that there are some things that somehow we are doing very good. And this is also part of a process, an organized process, where you can organize a system to develop a method to work with the players. Yeah, and I'm always stressing the same order. First of all, we may have a system, and according to this system, we should look for the method of working. Yeah, and once again, the money is never an excuse. It's never an excuse. For me, when we have the budget, we set up the targets or the possibilities the team has according to this budget, it's very difficult not to have somehow a success. Because success is not only winning the league. Since there are 12 teams, I always tell the same, there are 12 teams, 11 loses. But there are, from the 11, according how you organize your work, according how you set up everything with the structure, most probably you will have success more than defeats. And this is also when you finish the season, how often you finish with positive records. Or in this Moneyball equation, how much cost every victory you had in the league, comparing with how much cost every victory of sometimes the really big teams. And these are things that, of course, winning is winning, the medal is the medal, but success, it is also, or it is not only being the first in the qualification. Yeah, I think you can have and you can organize along this self-knowledge to the transformational point a way that the players develop and the players have success enjoying the process and working in this process. Just let me see here. But there are one or two questions.
Yeah, there's a question. I told you there's a question.
Very
well,
good.
We haven't got to that point yet.
Okay. Good. So then, now here we are. On the matter of organizing a system, organizing the methods and how we work with the team, and especially when we have different nationalities, different understanding of the sport, different understanding the way of life of everybody, I always try to unify everybody in one common language. Yeah, the best way to develop the team, first of all, you need to get understood by the team. I think this is the best and the first and the most important issue. So I had a team where there was a guy speaking Russian, there was a guy not speaking Russian from a different Soviet country. I had in this team a guy from French speaking language, from German speaking language, from English speaking language, and even sometimes from different kind of English language countries, such as Australia, USA, and then where the volleyball language in different countries is different, again, or even though the American players often come to Europe and you have the rotations in USA in a different numbers like we have in Europe. John, am I wrong?
No, you're right.
So, or the type of ball, when we call super, they call blue, red, X, or whatever, and you need to put everybody into the same language. So once talking with a player from Australia in one of my first years in Germany, I realized that we had a problem, not an issue. It was a problem because people really didn't understand each other. Then I went home and I said, okay. And the day after, when I came, I said, okay, guys, we need to bring the solution by speaking everybody the same language, which is volleyball. And then I realized, perhaps late, because I'm maybe not so intelligent, that we needed to create a kind of volleyball language or volleyball idioms. And then we started to call all together the same things which also bring us a lot easier the understanding of everybody, put everybody on the same page. And since that time, I'm always talking 3, 4, 5 particular things, and also having the possibility of working in a different language than mine forces me to speak, even though now I speak a lot, forces me to speak just the things which are necessary to be understood. Yeah, and I always tell, again, the same story. In Denmark, I think in the first really strong game we have was a TV game, and suddenly came out a middle blocker. He asked me something, and I'm not sure I understood 100%. And then my answer was, yeah. And then the player came to me, put his face like this, and said, yes or not? And then I look at him and says, yes, Simon, go ahead. So, but you know, these things along the way makes you realize how important is the communication and how important is the need of making a common language. Yeah. So since that time, we speak volleyball. Okay. One thing which is, as I spoke about the success itself is a process. And we as coaches need to be extremely motivated, because when we are extremely motivated, we will link this motivation to the team, and all kind of improvement, all kind of learning process starts from the motivation. And when we enjoy this process, because to be honest, guys, when we are coaching, I don't know, I would like to have the answer of you in this question, is after a victory, this winning moment in a blink of an eye is gone. And automatically you are starting to think again the process of how you can be better for the next game or the next championship. Yeah. And this is what makes us, or makes me as a professional, happy, because I really enjoy this process. And we need to help the players understand this point and help the players to enjoy the process all together, because we have to enjoy the process of the technical improvement. We have to enjoy the process for the physical improvement. We have to commit for all these technical things to make us win and to bring us the success. And once again, I think coming back, because it can be that I'm more than in a motivational speech than talking about how to manage low budget teams or low resources team, I would say organizing the structure, it is a process. And this process starts in many cases out of the motivation of the coach. Because if I would be only working for my salary, I would be with my family nowadays in Argentina, and I won't be 15,000 kilometers away of my kids or my wife or my friends sometimes. Yeah. But this is the process that we are working all day, and this is the process why you can really persuade perhaps a mid-class player to be close to the top class players, or a top class player to be even in a higher level. Yeah, because I haven't been coaching along my life many top class players. I'm fortunate to have some, but I have many. I've been coaching many at the beginning of their top class way, and I can really ensure you that these guys were very committed on this process of improvement, or this process of self-knowledge into the transformation, which makes me think, of course, that the motivational point was very high to change everything. Okay? No questions.
We have questions, but we'll get there.
Hmm?
We'll get there. Come on. I'm going to make you work for it, Ruben.
Yes, yes. I know. I'm keeping on. And then I think I'm just coming close to the end. Once again, talking last week's a lot with Daniel Castellani and many other big coaches from our country, and always in these times also I think it's important how much we exchange with our colleagues. We don't have any excuses right now, so we should have time to exchange, to take the time and talk with people. I think that with the system of working, I think it doesn't matter which kind of system you create, but when you have a system of working, when somehow you respect these 6 rules, most probably you will improve the players, and you will improve the team. Yeah. I don't know, John, sorry, and I don't know for our colleagues who are listening to us, I don't know how to pop up these kind of things in PowerPoint. For the next time, I will learn it. Yeah? I promise I will learn. I think I would like to start, or we should start from the motivation. I think the motivation is the mother of all the reasons of improvement. A person who is motivated will do all what they can to improve. And when we pay attention on organizing our training, on organizing our system of work, on organizing our method of work, I think to take care how much the players will improve after the motivation, we really need to know the technical model the sport is bringing us today. Which are the requirements of the game? Which are the elements you need to really excel? Which are the things the sport demands nowadays? Because today, perhaps the reception skills or the reception technique is not the same as 10 years ago. The service skills are not the same as 10 years ago. The physical skills are not the same as 10 years ago. And from the physical skills on, there are a lot of things which make the technical model change. So as we have stronger players, faster players, the execution is faster, is stronger, and then we need to create, or we need to find out the proper techniques or the proper let's say, solutions for the problems the game is showing us. Because one thing that perhaps I didn't say in this problem-solving situation, or this problem-solving specific point that volleyball or the sport is, I heard the other day Kurt Kirai talking also in I think at the last year sports psychologist convention in USA, where he was talking about today the problem solving is like making a solution of a puzzle, and the game is a puzzle that we have to make every second ball. And the puzzle we put together now is not the same puzzle it will come in the next ball. And this kind of problem solving abilities and problem solving development has to be created in our training environment, in our training, in our system of training, in our method, how we work. Then, of course, the game phases, the side out, the break point, how we play, how much we dedicate on working in the training. And once again, this is not about budget. Yeah, that's why perhaps with a lower budget team, nowadays with service, if you can recruit good service players, like sometimes happens in tennis, a player who is a little bit less gifted than a super player often can be an open game. So when we can develop our service, perhaps it's a shortcut to play better with bigger budget teams. And how much we dedicate on the game phases, on the systems of playing these game phases, the side out, the break point, because clearly it's almost 65% of the points are coming from side out system, and 30 to 35% is coming from the break point. So then how we develop the systems on working the game phases and the systems itself. And also this has to be very clear for everybody, and everybody must understand this whole picture. Then of course, the training methods. Once again, I think I saw Itamar connected. The other day, I think there was a coach from Israel who sent us a very interesting video that I shared already with John. John, if you want to share with everybody else after, feel free. It is also a webinar, a motor skill acquisition group from Ireland. They organized at the weekend a very interesting seminar or webinar where they were talking about the importance of the global system of coaching or training, like the Americans normally call the whole, and the relation with the part or the analytic or the synthetic system we used to call in Argentina, in Brazil, or in Italy, where it's by science proven that the global system or the whole system is the most efficient system, but it's not sufficient to fulfill the pink part of the cake, which is the number of repetitions. And this motor skill acquisition group from Ireland is with a lot of science material and with a lot of reviews and papers and everything. They are showing how much should we talk about the connection and the interaction of these methods that, of course, in higher level is 70 to 30 or 75 to 25. Part of the training should be global and 25 or 30% should be like synthetic. But this part of the thing, it's a complement or it's a complementary thing of each other, which leads us to the next point, which is the specificity.
One thing real quick, Ruben.
Yeah.
First, I think it's good for people because these two things are linked. So I'm going to put two links in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
One is where you can go, because I had the conversation on motor learning with Harjiv Singh on Friday.
Yeah.
And he talks about some of the stuff that goes into the YouTube thing, where especially where he talks about the continuum, not that you want to be all one or all the other. You need to be
exactly.
on both.
Exactly. The cooperational thing between the two systems.
Right. So that's a good one to start with. And then the YouTube one, which I just put in, they actually go deeper into the idea of the spectrum.
Yeah.
So I think that's, if you can watch them kind of in that order, that's probably a really good way to do it.
Okay. Thank you very much, John. And I think this is a very, very interesting topic to discuss, because people are wasting hours of senseless discussion about this. And always with my colleagues in Germany, I think with several friends, I always say that I'm a really pragmatic thing, and how much you can put the whole or the part. People who are fighting or discussing is because they don't need to win on Saturday. When we need to win games to bring more success to our program, which at the end of the day is to keep our jobs, I think it is very, very important to be pragmatic and to find the solutions the team may need in order of developing the players on this problem-solving situation, which leads us to win games. Yeah? And these three parts, the training methods, the specificity, and the numbers of repetitions, are critical at the moment we want to develop players. A player cannot be developed if they make 10 receptions a day. Yeah, and I always tell with several teams, especially in Germany, because in Germany, now in Hungary, I'm having perhaps the best conditions I have ever had to work with the players. And for example, in Germany, we used to divide the group, especially in preparation times, which normally we used to make 10 to 12 weeks of preparation. And the question is why? Many people were asking me, why so long preparation? Because we were having not the best budget in the league. And we were having not the most experienced players. Because I have always the same discussion. And once talking at home with my wife, who is also a volleyball coach, she came to me and said, Ruben, that's easy. Experience costs a lot of money. Otherwise, you pay a salary to an old player who is not good. So if an old player who is not good, who is perhaps not fully motivated, why will you take a player like this instead of taking a player full of motivation with good physical and technical conditions that perhaps is not experienced, but during the season you can catch up. And you know from the beginning of the season that perhaps you are not going to win the league, but going back to the equation of how much cost every victory of you and every victory of the team, which at the end will be the champion, perhaps is a good business for your organization as well. And then we were having between 10 and 12 weeks of preparation, where we committed to work a lot on the physical improvement of the players, as well as the technical improvement of the players. John has been visiting us 3 times, John.
Yes, 3 times.
So I cannot lie in front of John. I can lie somewhere else, but not in front of John in these cases. And we normally divide the group in groups of, we normally do 3 or 4 groups, while one group was working in the mornings with the conditional trainer in the power gym. Then one group was working with us. Normally we divided setters and liberos, the receivers, the middle blockers and the opposites, and we were working a lot in separate things on the synthetic part of the game. Sometimes a defense and a set, sometimes a block and a transition attack, or this kind of the steps of the after blocking the opposites, how they transition to make a transition attack, and these several like analytical or synthetic part of the games, which at the end were making individual development. And every evening we used to play around 2.5 hours of 6 against 6 volleyball. So of course, in this way, we always respect how the game is played. We always respect and we try to remark the training of serve, reception, setting, and attack in most of the situations of our trainings, or at least in this proportion of 2 plus 1, because it's happening that you are scoring 2 points out of 3 from the side-out system. So this is a proportion that when you respect all these kind of rules, most probably you will make the team improve. And then, once again, it's not a matter of budget. It's a matter how you organize the work.
Okay. Are we at the end now, Ruben?
I think so.
Yes, we are. Okay. So now it's question time. Will has a list of them. We'll start off with the one Oscar put in, seems like hours ago now. He wants to know, what's your idea on how to convince your board to follow your strategy and change some of the club's standards and habits?
Well, I think, I don't know if I have ever convinced the board. In some cases, perhaps I'm answering in a silly way. I think often the board was convinced itself after having the results. And once again, except one time in Finland, we won a championship, and was like a regional championship. We won the Nevza tournament. Any other country I was coaching, I couldn't win a championship. But at every country, we have got a medal, at least. And unfortunately, this year, we were very good towards the final of the league, and the league was canceled. So perhaps would have been the first time since I'm coaching abroad, I would be champion. Because the team was working very, very committed, and I would say they were fully motivated on development. And I think that in Germany, for example, when I arrived to Buell, there were 6 coaches in 5 years. I have a friend from Argentina who told me, Ruben, beware. These guys are very dangerous. In 5 years, they changed 6 coaches. And then I only answer, look, Luis, I can do, the only thing I do is working the way I work, the way I know how to work. Let's hope the results will help me. And then I last 9 seasons. So this is something that perhaps answers you, Oscar, how you convince. But I don't think you have to convince. I think you have to work with convictions. Is the word? John, let me look for the translation. Yeah, conviction. Yeah, when you work with conviction, when you know the things you are doing are the right things, most probably you will be able to convince the management. Because in our profession, it cannot be that you have to show results from today to tomorrow, especially when the conditions are not the best. That's why coming back to the beginning, it is something that we must, the best way to convince the management is to bring them to the ground where we are. Yeah, because telling people the truth should help you to convince the management. Otherwise, if you think as wrong as the management that we have to win the season, maybe then you don't have to be surprised if they are angry or they are disappointed. I don't know if I answered the question.
Oscar says thanks.
Okay.
Okay. Do you want to put up your feedback thing now, or do you want to wait till the end?
No, you can at the end, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Santi first has a statement and then a question. His statement is, Ruben could stress even more the importance about hard working. He never stops working. Now, okay, so there's the pat on the back.
Okay.
The question he has is, how is it possible for you to keep in mind so much info about teams, leagues, and players? Do you have any kind of organization for it?
To track players?
Yeah, teams, leagues, and players. How are you keeping track so you know who to look for? And
well, I will answer once again with an answer I gave to my wife when we start dating. She's a volleyball coach. I think the time she was active, I'm not ashamed to tell that she is more successful than I am. But always she asked me, how you do it? And my answer was always, and it's always the same. It is my passion, which became my profession. So I feel like obligated to know about our sport, to study our sport, because I was not a great player. So, and I need to compensate this kind of mismatch, perhaps, not having a great career as a player, and thanks God I was not playing anymore. So maybe my legacy to sport is better coaching than playing. And I think this, which makes me attracted to watch volleyball, to watch players, to follow, and also the curiosity of being from a very small town who went to bigger cities, and perhaps this is also the curious spirit to keep tracking everywhere as much as possible.
All right, very good. Okay, Will has a list of questions, so I'm going to do something that I haven't really done before, but we're going to bring him in so he can ask them directly.
Okay.
He sent me a list, but he might have altered or adjusted. Okay. Oh, here he comes.
Right. Hi.
There he
Hi,
is.
Gil. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good, very good. Please speak slow, eh?
I'll try. Right. Yeah. So you've answered a few of the questions that I already had, but most of it was I was hoping for kind of your input around situations specific to English volleyball, where you might have 1 or 2 trainings a week, pretty low commitment generally from players. So I work particularly with university teams where it's...
I know you.
Okay, great. Feel famous. So, for example, how do we achieve growth in those teams where, for example, my university team, I get 1 training a week. I might have 70-80% of the players showing up to one of those trainings just because they have academic commitments they need to fulfill. But then also every year there's maybe half a new team or, a fully new team. How do we get growth through that?
I think what I can suggest from the times I was coaching very beginners, juniors, I think I would do a kind of mini volleyball training, like 2 against 2, 3 against 3, and no warm-up at all. So since they come in at the time they come to the gym, they have to start playing. And this would be the best possibility to develop them. And also, there is a very interesting Argentinian coach, really like a legend, coaching junior girls, who used to have 16, 18 girls in the gym, and people spread while they were playing, in some cases 4 against 4, the other players were playing, doing some analytic stuff to get improvement in the wall, to the wall, with the partner, and then bringing in, bringing out, and changing the people and keeping this active. In these regards, you may be very creative, but the thing is also, with the experience, I would say, the intervention of the coach, and especially in this group, perhaps is very little. So you need to let them play and make corrections while you are walking around the, let's say, the playing stations. But that can be my suggestion.
Okay, awesome. Thank you very much. So kind of going off on that same kind of theme, is it appropriate to sacrifice individual player development to kind of reach a kind of system-based standard of play to allow you to play at a higher level? Or would you focus more on the individual technique to give them the skills to then reach the level? So is it a kind of a preference for getting the technique to a higher standard or the tactics to a higher standard and then developing?
Yeah. With all my respects, Will, I think with training once a week or twice a week, the standard will never be so high. So
Sure.
then perhaps while you somehow try to look out of these rules of how you organize the training and also how you you give the possibilities of players to get repetitions, most probably when you bring them to organize the repetitions, respecting this line of the game, that the game starts from the service, that the game is service, reception, setting, and an attack, at least these 4 steps, it can give you a better development individually. And as soon as the individual will be a little bit better, the whole will be also better. But to develop this individual, you will need to do kind of synthetic training in parts. And then perhaps, once again, I don't know the facility, I don't know nothing. But perhaps when you pull an elastic from one side to the other one, instead of working with only one net, you will have more meters to work with players' development and creative solutions and problem-solving solutions.
Cool.
The thing I would toss in there is that you can be working in a team structure, but still working on technique. Because a lot of times the team stuff that you might be doing, maybe it doesn't need quite so much feedback as if you were doing an individual sort of thing. So you could set up something where you want them working on a team element, but within that, if it's something that they can kind of run without a lot of your input into, you can be focusing on a position or a certain player or whatever, and being more specific technically with them, while the whole thing is still going on, and they're developing the team sense of play.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, I've got two more questions that I'll throw at you. The first one, you talked about how you would kind of recruiting players and kind of having conversation with those, but a lot of the time we don't get the luxury to have it in, so we have kind of like tryouts based, I guess. So this year I had one court for 2 hours and I had 50 athletes trying out on that court. So I mean, outside of the kind of organization of how I run that, what would you kind of look out for to kind of maximize picking the best people?
Well, this again, it comes with the experience. We hit, let's say, a good pick with the guy from Congo who sent me a video of 7 minutes, and in a really poor English, poorer than mine, he said, "Coach, look at this." And then he shoot a video. And once I watched the video, I said, wow, I need to do something to organize this boy to come. And then I start to look for games. And I think you can, before you getting the players to this gym for a tryout, you can have access to some kind of games nowadays. And if they were playing before.
So often they would be playing at a level that wouldn't be videoed, or they are purely just coming to the university and saying, oh, there's a volleyball club, I'll come to that.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, and also, I don't know if the Santiago who was asking is Santi, who used to work with me, John.
Yes.
But you can refer the question to Santiago, Will. Santiago can help you really much on how to organize this, because the years he was working with us in Germany, he was able to find gym time for everybody. And even though sometimes I was telling him, please, these kids will never play, but they want to play. I have to do something in order that they play, and which also keep us motivated as well, Will. And perhaps the university doesn't have this possibility on bringing you more gym time, but it's a matter of creativity. You know, I have the best girl player I ever had in Argentina, who made the Olympics in Rio to play beach volleyball, to engage this girl because she was a golden girl, I used to go to our like paddle tennis court in my club in Argentina with her and one friend of her. Sometimes I used to go twice a week because this girl, Georgina, was not able to make the trainings with the other part of the group. And she was maybe 14, 15, and she was training in a concrete, in a beton paddle tennis. Of course, we were taking care that she was not jumping a lot. And also the other days she was coming already with almost the senior team. But it's again a matter of motivation from us. And then this motivation you will give to the team. And this is a matter of bringing solutions. You can practice anywhere. I always also tell the story when I was working in Finland. I went to watch a game, Finland-Brazil, at the World League at that times. And Brazil came. Of course, I was coming the day before to watch the trainings and so. And the gym in Forza, the city, was closed. Suddenly was closed. And Bernardinho guys, build up a net system in the parking lot, and I haven't been told about this. I saw it, and they start to make self-reception until the gym was ready to go. And I saw it with my eyes. Never told me that. So again, it's a matter of finding solutions.
I've been in your place, Will. My last year at Exeter, we had like 60 girls show up, which is it's an insane number. Part of it was there was a mistake by the club leadership. Like you just don't advertise an open tryout. You got to do some sort of filtering. Otherwise, you end up with way too many people who would never make the team. So literally, it's like, okay, I'd been used to getting like 25-ish. My first 2 years, that was about what it was. That year, it's like, okay, you're like panic. Oh my God, what do we do with 60 kids? So, it was like, okay, let's get them into groups of 3 peppering, because you can tell pretty quick the kids who really played by how they pepper, because the ones who never played can't. Okay, so filter number 1. I think the next thing we did was we had them serve. Again, you can judge how long somebody's played by what their serve technique looks like, and then it becomes a question of, we had the fortune of having another like half court that we could send the rejects. Bad word, but I mean that's what they were. We could push them over to that other court where one of the club captains was doing exercises with them while we were continuing to evaluate the rest of them. That's not, but that's one of those things that you got to think about, is like, well, can we kind of basically cut people within the session and say, hey, listen, sorry, but you're just not at the level that this team is going to be competing at. If you can't, then obviously it's going to be just pure space management sort of a problem. But if you can, then you can kind of use like mass evaluation to look at them in small ways and kind of whittle down until you get something manageable.
With you. Awesome. Final question was around preparation and how you kind of yourself as a coach. I find myself working with like 3 or 4 teams at a time, and then working day job as well, and then coaching all weekend. So you really run out of time very quickly to dedicate to each team. What would your kind of priorities be around that? Like, would you like even try and film games to watch them back, or purely just go off kind of your instinct and memory from games? How do you go about, yeah?
Well, I can tell you from my experience with the professional teams and also with the junior teams, because I was coaching many years junior teams. The best possibility for the players to learn is by playing the game. Yeah? And often the best possibility the players keep a high motivation is by playing the game. So the best perhaps trick you have with teams which are not having the possibility of practice a lot is playing a lot. Invitational tournaments, preparation games. Perhaps you practice twice a week, but once a week you can program a friendly game during the season. And for example, in Germany, even this year in Hungary, in the 10 weeks of preparation, or the 12 weeks of preparation, we used to play in the German teams, in the best groups we have, the groups which we had, I would say, good success by playing the cup final, by playing the top 4 in the CEV Cup in the second level of the European Cups. We used to have around 20 preparation games before the season. Because, once again, I was not having the most experienced players. So I needed to organize as much games possible to see all the good things we could potentially do, and also the worst miseries they can show or we can see from the team in order that keep working during the season, the improvement. And people would tell me, it's a lot, perhaps. Perhaps it is a lot. But also is the good moment, the preparation, where everybody can play. Everybody can play and get experience because you don't have absolutely the pressure of bringing results. So it's perhaps the possibility that everybody learn and improve. So I would do, when I was coaching juniors, if the team was training 3 or 4 days a week, especially if the team, well, I almost never had a team with 3 times a week. Normally we have 4, but with the 3 times a week, we will find the 4th day for sure to play, plus the weekend game. So this is
Ruben. Hold on. I think, Will, you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I think Will's question is more about you as a coach.
Yeah.
Where would you prioritize your time when you don't have very much, like on your, like for your daily work, your weekly work?
Okay. Sorry, Will.
That's okay.
It's a good answer for another question, but
yeah. No, but as I said before, I would do serve, reception, setting, and attack.
No. Okay, how much time do you spend, say, watching video? How much time do you spend meeting with players? How much time do you spend talking with management? So,
okay.
So your work as coach, not the team's work, your work individually as the coach.
You can ask my family. Because, for example, I'm off season, let's say now. I'm waking up, starting to watch some players, starting to prepare some videos. Normally the week would be at least a couple of hours a day to watch videos. Not much individual meetings during the season, but regularly meetings with the video meetings with the team at least 2 times. Sometimes we do 3 times because on Mondays, if we play an important game, sometimes we analyze all together. If we have, or if we had perhaps a bad defeat, it's important to watch some things. And often I start to change also. I don't make many like team meetings in these cases. I do more group meetings. But then we have at least two times video meetings with the team. With the management, I would say we meet perhaps once every 2 weeks, maybe once a month. But with my sports director, here I meet every day. So I would say between 6 and 8 hours a day, you are working fully professional, let's say. Yeah.
But what if you're not fully professional, Ruben? What if you're part-time?
I was doing the same. Because in Santa Fe, when I was coaching the juniors and I started my volleyball career, was almost the same. I was going to the sports school, to the sports university from 7 to 12. And then at 2 o'clock, we started with the mini volleyball from 2 to 4. 4 o'clock, I started with the under 14. 14, 6, at 16, we started with the under 14. At 18, with the under 18. And at 20, I was assistant coach of the senior team. So, and then I went home from Monday to Friday, every day.
Cool. Thank you very much.
You are welcome.
All right. We don't have any other
and
questions.
will, as everybody else, when I continued here working, feel free to come and visit us as much as you want.
Thank you very much. Love to get out. It's Hungary, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Never been to Hungary, so that'd be nice.
Go.
Yeah, they are nice girls. Eh?
Yeah.
He's married, Ruben.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
you can see you can read the menu, but you have to always keep eating at home. So
my wife is sitting just a few meters away, so
There you go.
that's good. That's very good.
She can see you. She knows who that is. All right. All right. We don't have any more questions. Ruben, do you want to put up your survey questions?
You can put the survey question there, or you can share with the people. I don't know. And if everybody can feel free to answer. If somebody wants to answer anonymously to John, if somebody doesn't want to answer, don't answer. That's it. That's okay.
Okay. Got to find it.
But anyway, thank you very much. All of you guys, I hope you enjoy as much as me.
Okay. Are you seeing it? Are you seeing the Word document?
yeah.
Okay. So there's just Ruben's looking for a little bit of feedback. I'll leave that up there. All right. Thanks for joining in, Will.
No worries. You can kick me off the island if you want, or everyone can keep looking at my face. That's fine.
I think everybody's looking at the Word document right now, so you're safe, more or less. All right. Thanks, Ruben. Thanks, everybody, for coming out. Thanks
You are
for the
welcome.
questions that
Thank
got
you very
submitted.
much for the invitation.
Yeah, no problem.
Ciao.
All right. Have a good rest of the day, everybody.
Yeah. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.